there was an orphanage where the parents, because the prophetess and the prophets at the churches had told them that their children were witches. And so in other words, what they did was, in order to get the children to confess to being witches, they set them on fire. They put them in boiling water. They put them on grills, and they put nails, 3-inch nails, in the top of the children's head. They tormented them. They pulled them to the point where they were in exhaustion. The Pentecostal persuasion persuaded them that in order for your child to be free, that the child must fast. So in other words, they starved these children for weeks and weeks at a time for them to be free from something that they thought the children were bound with. They were 5-month-old babies that they thought were working and casting spells. And so what they did was they cast these children away, and the man was trying to convince that the children are not witches. But when he came to meet with the evangelists and the prophetess, they were so dogmatic about how they presented Christ that it really turned the people off throughout the region. Now we have to understand that anything that takes place in our life, God has already deemed it as a door that he may get glory out of our lives. And so what ended up happening was they took these children and these bishops and apostles, they were sitting there and they were telling the parents, well, if you bring me your child, I'll be able to do this ritual on your child. And the bishop took his own blood and mixed it within the water and this portion that he mixed up, and he had the children drinking his blood, telling the parents that it was going to free their children from witchcraft. So what ended up happening was they were taking the money from the parents. And if the parents did not have a year's worth salary to pay these men of God, that they would take the children from their parents until they were able to come up with the money. So what I began to do, I sat there and I said, God, that is strange, because we look at Africa and it is so amazing. You know, when you go to Africa, you know, we can identify witches and warlocks easily in Africa. Why? Because they got paint on their face, they got horns on their head, they got bones through their ears, they have these piercings. And I sat there and I said, you know what, God, this is so amazing. And I said, you know, they think those are devils. I said, they think that that is something to deal with. I got kind of afraid. I said, because what we have to deal with, they ain't dealt with the devil until they have to come and deal with the devils that I deal with on a daily basis. In other words, Pastor, we have to deal with devils that people don't even know that are devils. In other words, they wear collars, they wear rings, they wear crosses, they have these expensive garments, they drive the best of cars, they live in the best of houses, they build the fanciest churches. But how many of you have been in a place where you said, you know, I've seen enough of church, I've experienced enough of religion, I've experienced enough of just going through the circle, through the cycle, the same thing every week. But today I come to a point and a place in my life where I say, God, it has to be something different. It has to be something different. I cannot continue to go through and deal with things being the same. I can't continue to go through things that are repeat in my life. I can't continue to go through the same cycles. Can't continue to go through the same circles. I've been going around the same mountain for the last 20-odd years of my life. And I realize that my breakthrough and my deliverance is only held up not because the pastor didn't call me out and didn't lay hands on me, not because the pastor ain't anointed, not because I didn't receive impartation, but my breakthrough and deliverance is held up simply because I refuse I refuse to remove the I out of my process. And I come to tell you today, the sooner you remove yourself from out of your trouble and your problem, the sooner you'll be able to see deliverance and a victory in your home. But the thing we have to get over in the church is we got to get over something simply called ourselves. What we're doing is we're killing ourselves. We're wearing ourselves out. We're burning ourselves down. Why? Because we simply refuse to release things that have happened in our life. You know people who are angry and they don't even know why they're angry. You know people who are mad, and you ask them, you say, well, why are you mad? And they say, I don't know, I'm just mad. Well, what's going on? I don't know, ain't nothing going on. Everything is all right. You ever seen somebody, bills paid, everything paid on time, they got everything they need, money in the bank, food in the refrigerator, got everything, and it seems like they're the ones that are the most troubled. They're the ones that complain the most. They're the most bitter people. They're the most hatred people. They're the most envious people. They're the most jealous people. They're jealous of you. They're driving a Mercedes-Benz and you're driving a Pinto. They're eating good and you sitting up there wondering what you're going to eat. They have money. They have everything they need and your bills are behind. You're one payment away from being repossessed. You're one push away from being evicted out of your house. And you ask them and say, what in the world is the problem? Turn to your neighbor and say, neighbor, don't drop me.
Don't drop me. Don't drop me. My God.
Don't drop me. So I began to look and I wonder. I said, you know, if we really would get to a point and we begin to really look and we begin to solidify and we really begin to put things in its proper place, what would happen when we really get on one accord? Oh my God. I knew nobody was going to say nothing there. What would happen if we would really lose our own agenda?
There you go. Woo, glory, hallelujah.
What would happen when we really get over our hidden motives? See, Pastor, I'll come to Bible study, but there's something you got to do for me in order for me to come to Bible study. Pastor, I'll come to this service, but there's something you got to do for me in order for me to come to this. So what we do is we pick and choose according to what we need.
My God, my God, my God.
We pick and choose according to what we need. Or in other words, whatever I can get. However I can get what I can get. Do you know one of the biggest struggles in the church is the spirit of manipulation?
There you go, there you go, there you go. Yes, yes.
The spirit of manipulation. I'll pay my tithes, but Pastor, you can't preach on my struggle. Oh my God. I give my offerings, but Pastor, you can't touch this area of my life. I even be more faithful, but don't do this, don't do that. So we dictate it. You know what we do? You know how it is. Y'all know what I'm talking about. When something is said, we'll try to intimidate the preacher with our body language. We'll use witchcraft from the pew and try to intimidate each other. But look at your neighbor and say, those days are over. Yeah. The spirit of Elijah is coming back to the house. What God will begin to rain fire back in the house of God. We're going back to a time and a period where you will not be able to lie in the sanctuary. They saying that to me. You won't be able to sit there and think, your mind running in circles. Some of y'all right now, I'm sitting up here preaching, and your mind is on what you're going to eat when you get out of here. Oh my God.
Jesus.
Who going to be at Golden Corral? Who going to be over there? You ain't even giving offering, but you worried about where you going to go eat after church.
That's right. Jesus. Amen.
Some of your minds right now rumbling and rambling what you did on yesterday. I got to go home and iron my clothes because I got to get ready for the next week. But when is your mind going to be at peace?
Glory to God.
When is your mind going to get to a point where you're going to say, you know what?